Namaste, Mitro. Welcome back to Movie Community College. Marinam Tish Hay, the Warrior Queen. Tip of the hat to you? Is that what you're doing?
Hello, my name is MS Dhoni, and welcome. I'm going to try to do reaction videos for the first time. I'm a pretty good wicket keeper. I got some mad defending skills, and I can hit a little bit. Thank you.
And you're not Dhoni, but okay.
People, I get confused from all the time when I'm out in the street. Like, don't?
Oh, yeah.
No, it's Professor
Totally
Dhoni.
see that,
Oh,
right.
I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Here with the professor. So what I have for you remember Jacob?
I do.
It's been a while since you've seen a Jacob video.
That's true.
Jacob emailed and said, hey, listen, I was doing the food video, and I really appreciate you guys reacting to it, but I'm changing it up.
I heard that.
I think he's going to call it, I think he's calling it Stay Curious.
Okay.
So he wants to kind of do an FTD approach to topics.
Okay.
And make it educational.
Okay.
And I told him I would come up some ideas for like Indian content for him. So maybe work with him on this a little bit. So this one is about the history of Wuhan.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm
ready.
ready.
Are you ready to hear the history of Wuhan?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
And then it says the birthplace of coffee.
That's an unfortunate thing to be remembered for, isn't it? Yeah.
All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Feel free to turn it up if you can't hear it.
As COVID-19, the craziest pandemic any of us have ever seen, is spreading all over the world, many of us are wondering where it came from. Well, actually it came from one of the most ancient cities in China, Wuhan. Even though the city's current area has been inhabited for over 3,000 years, the foundations for Wuhan we know today started with the settlement of a city called Wuchang in the year of 220. Then, a few centuries later, across the river, a city called Hanyang was created, and some more years later, another city, this one called Hankou. Those three cities would eventually merge together to become Wuhan. All three cities were incredibly important as they sat on the banks of the Yangtze River, the longest river in Asia, which allowed them to become a major hub for trade in China. For most of their history, they peacefully shared in the wealth of the trade that ran through their part of the river. However, in the 19th century, Hankou suddenly became the most important of the three cities. You see, in the 1850s, there was a war raging in China as the Qing dynasty fought against the British and French as the latter tried to expand their trading rights in China. The war resulted in the Treaty of Tianjin, and one of the provisions of that treaty was having Hankou open up to foreign trade. As you can imagine, that treaty completely changed those three cities forever. You see, once the British and French entered Hankou and set up their concessions, the Russians, Japanese, and Germans weren't far behind. Their influence led to a major industrial boom in all three cities, and they became one of the most important trading ports in all of China. As the Wuhan city's prosperity grew, so did their influence, so much so that the Chinese Revolution, which successfully toppled China's last imperial dynasty, started in Wuchang in 1911. Because of that influence, in 1926, the Nationalist Party, who ruled China at the time, moved their capital from Guangzhou to Hankou, where they decided to merge the three cities and finally establish the city of Wuhan. Sounds great so far, right? Well, actually, this is where all the fun started. You see, there were many in Wuhan who were unhappy about the nationalists moving in and taking over, and there was a growing communist presence who wanted them out. So in July of 1927, the communists, with the help of the Soviets, staged a military coup that ultimately failed and led to a total purge of communists from the government. Unfortunately, conflict didn't end there, because in 1937, the Japanese invaded China during the Second Sino-Japanese War, and they set their sights on capturing several major cities, including Wuhan. After 4 months and as many as 1 million casualties from Wuhan side alone, the city fell under Japanese control. Because of the Japanese invasion, Wuhan lost almost all of its foreign investments, but still remained an important industrial city that now benefited Japan, not China. Just a few years later, Wuhan's blessing as a major center for industry ultimately became its curse, because in December of 1944, the United States Air Force bombed Wuhan, destroying much of their industry as well as Japanese Air Force bases in an effort to hurt the Japanese during World War II, killing as many as 20,000 civilians in the process. After all the wars, Wuhan got to work on rebuilding itself. In the 1950s, Wuhan's iron and steel industries were revived, and the Wuhan Yangtze River Bridge was built, which connected three major railways for the first time in China's history. Even though Wuhan was apparently doing very well for itself following the wars, it stayed completely out of the limelight. That is, until 2019. You see, in December of 2019, an outbreak of the coronavirus was identified in Wuhan. While the origins of the outbreak have yet to be confirmed, it's believed that it came from a wet market which sells exotic animals for consumption in really poor conditions. Despite the uncertain origins, the virus spread like wildfire all over the world, quickly becoming a pandemic, and it forced Wuhan into a strict lockdown. For 76 days, no one was allowed to enter or leave the city. People couldn't leave their homes without permission. All public transportation was cancelled, and authorities even kept track of who bought cold medicine at the pharmacy. Even though the people of Wuhan experienced a lot of fear and anxiety through the lockdown, they did their best to stop the spread of the virus, and their efforts paid off because after 76 days, 50,000 infections and over 3,000 deaths, the number of new infections stopped. Thus, the lockdown was slowly lifted and the people of Wuhan are getting back to their normal lives. I've personally been under lockdown now for over 1 month, and sometimes it really is hard, you know? So I want to thank all the people of Wuhan for staying in their homes for almost 3 months, because that really helped contain the spread of the virus. And I really hope that at this point, all of us can do our part to contain it in our own communities. Stay healthy, stay safe, and stay strong wherever you are in the world.
So, definitely informative and
A lot of stuff I did not know.
good video, Jacob.
Very good video, Jacob.
I don't think, however, that anybody truly believes that there are only 3,000 deaths there.
Well, that's what the Chinese government
Right.
reported.
Yeah, don't think that that's
I don't.
accurate.
But that's why would they? That's what they reported. That's
Sure, yeah. They also told us that it wasn't transmissible human to human.
I don't.
So
I don't. Why would they do that? They wouldn't do that.
I wonder. It's a mystery.
Can you think of governments don't? Wait, are you saying
Governments
governments?
lying?
come on.
What? Any government
I don't
anywhere
believe that.
lying?
I don't believe that.
Yeah, I know. All governments, they really are looking out for their people, right?
That's what they do. That's
Yeah.
what they do.
No.
You just go ask the neighbors to the west. They don't lie.
Yeah, the problem
North
is
Korea?
while governments are something that God certainly ordained as necessary, the problem is that they're all run by fallible human beings, and some governments are worse than others because they enjoy tyranny and they mean to oppress people.
I think-
and thus you get stuff like
Well,
this.
I think because China did such a great job, and that video showed it, of them stopping the spread, I think what we should all do is just give over all of our sovereignty, every nation,
oh,
to
sure,
China,
right.
just temporarily, so they could get all this under control.
Right.
And then they'll give it back.
Oh, of course, yes.
Jacob, that was an outstanding
Yes, good
video.
job.
And if I understood his emails right, his lockdown, I think he's in Lebanon.
Oh, wow.
And he's in Lebanon, and he's making videos. Good for you, buddy.
Wow.
Good for you. And I wish you well. Godspeed,
Yes,
young man.
absolutely.
And that was very informative. I did learn a lot
agree.
of stuff. Did you learn
I
stuff?
enjoy history very much.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Yes.
Okay, now I gotta go.
Okay,
We'll catch you
bye.
later.
See ya.
Peace and much love.
Hey, this is Sonal. Please like and subscribe to Movie Community College and do check out my channel, The String Theory, for some amazing sitar videos.